Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel, Professor RJ Placone on communication excellence. Today, I want to talk about the topic of charisma. We hear this all the time. This person is charismatic, this person lacks charisma. What exactly do we mean, and how can we relate it to Donald Trump? I want to talk about a series of politicians. I'm going to start with Donald Trump. Also, like to talk a little bit in some future videos on AOC and Ma'am Danny because I think charisma is an important part of understanding them. So, those who have studied charisma often attach it to nonverbal communication. There's been a lot of research that suggests that it ties to sort of the cues we give off that suggest power, warmth, a general presence that we are in command. We're confident, and that draws people to us. We see it's like a charismatic magnet. But I don't think when we talk about Donald Trump, I don't think that necessarily tells the full story. I don't know if many people, including his most devout followers, would describe him as a person of warmth. Maybe they would, but I doubt that. Rich Young, a former colleague of mine, did some great research. He published in a book called Persuasive Communication. And he said when surveys were done asking people, what traits does the ideal president have? What are the traits you expect in them? And they described honesty, courage, charisma, and warmth. So I think now as we start to focus on Donald Trump, the president of the country, honesty, I think it's debatable. Let's objectively look at that. The number of fact checks have been done on him and the gaps we've seen in terms of what he says versus reality as compared to others. These are larger gaps. So I think the honesty piece definitely could be challenged. Warmth, I just don't think he is seen as a generally warm and empathetic individual. Courage and charisma, though, I think that we start to see where he may be appealing to folks and they may see in him a very charismatic individual. I think, especially when we start to focus on what do we want from our president? We want to connect with them emotionally. And this is a direct quote from Rich Young's book. He said, the extent to which US presidents evoke emotions is directly related to the public's perception of the president's charisma and greatness. And I think that's where we see Trump. And that's, to me, the best way to understand his charismatic appeal. He evokes emotions. He stirs the emotions in others. And how does he do that? Well, for many politicians, the number one way they do it is by using metaphors, using them repeatedly, using strong metaphors that excite people, get them to see something a little bit differently. Because a metaphor is just that. It's a comparison of generally unlike objects. We say things in ways that don't necessarily go together. We talk about elections as wars and battles, and Trump does this often. He speaks of his role of governance and relates it to almost where we're dealing with this large container or body of water and we have to drain the swamp. How many times did we hear that in 2016? We have to watch that the well is not poisoned. All of these are metaphors. We go to battle with our enemies. He says these repeatedly. They evoke strong emotional responses. I think it's directly related to him being perceived as a charismatic leader. Now, for those that aren't as comfortable with Donald Trump, uh, it goes often too far in their eyes. When political opponents, when Democrats, uh, immigrants are described as vermin, snakes, animals, then I think some people start to have a problem with that, and the emotional response that is generated in them is not positive one. But overall, if we try to understand Trump's charisma, I think it's most clearly related to his ability to evoke emotions using very simple metaphors, using them repeatedly, and he stirs those emotions in others, and they see in him a leader they can connect with and a leader with charismatic appeal. Thank you so much. Look forward to doing some more of these in the upcoming few days.